What's going on, guys? We are back here again today for another episode of our Shop Talk with Savage series. Thank you guys so much for joining me. For anybody new, welcome. These are basically like just simple open discussion videos, talk about different things surrounding kind of shop culture, shop life. Maybe if you come from a dealership or some kind of like repair facility, or if you've been an advisor, been a tech. These may be interesting topics, and yeah, let's get into it, man. So this one's going to be a little bit different today, and we're talking about being an advisor in a performance shop, dealing with a lot of street racers. So obviously it goes without saying, street racing has been pretty big on the internet, for quite a number of years. It's always interesting to see what all's going on for the guys about that life, These are people that invest tremendous amounts of time, money, and effort into these just ridiculously insane builds. And there's a lot of money on the line here, guys. So things can definitely get pretty interesting. Oftentimes, you've got your guys that are a little bit more out in the open. And of course, there's also a lot of guys that remain more of that lower profile, right? They kind of keep their name and face off screen, just kind of show the results, and just kind of keep things more to themselves. A lot of times what's funny is you'll get some street racers, they'll call pretending like they're just a regular customer, like, looking for a quote on such and such build. In reality, they've kind of caught a whiff of some information, maybe that their rival had some type of upgrade or thing done at a certain shop. So what they're doing is they're fishing for information to kind of like get intel on their rival competitors. So it's funny, man, and obviously, like, if you're a shop, you're looking out for your guys, right? Like, I'm not trying to give away secrets, you know what I'm saying? I want to kind of keep the other guys on their toes, and it's just very interesting, these different types of conversations where, you can kind of see, it's like, yeah, dude, I know what you're trying to do, man. I know you're fishing, trying to figure out what all the other guy has done to his car. So just very, very often entertaining conversations that can happen. And if you're looking out for your guy, right, you're not trying to just put him out there and make sure that he's got that competitive edge. You just kind of got to keep the poker face on, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be obviously common sense for a lot of people, but a lot of shops, like, they want to post their customers' cars, post the upgrades. Hey, this car came in with this and this, we installed all of this, it made this much power. Just always make sure you ask for consent, because you just never know. If your customer, he's trying to run the streets, I mean, he's gotta keep a low profile. You know what I'm saying? You can't be putting his secret sauce out there, so the guys are gonna know what he's got. So that's just something that you need to bear in mind. Again, if it's kind of more cosmetic stuff, you're talking more like wheels, suspension, like wraps. Obviously, that guy wants to be seen, but for those that they're putting their money on the line, talking 10 bands on a race coming up this weekend, those guys definitely are going to want to put all their information out there. Now, okay, so the other thing I want to talk about is, with regard to the street racers, is sometimes these guys, unfortunately, they are not always the most well organized or have the best planning skills. So sometimes they'll call in last minute, man, I need a tune, I got a race coming up, this and that. And it's just like, yo, man, I got you. Like, I want to get you in for that tune, but it's just like, I'm already booked out, for the rest of the week, the rest of next week. Like, you got to understand, like, can't always make a miracle happen. So one thing that I've seen in the past is sometimes shops, they'll be like, hey, man, like, if you want to do like a rush fee, maybe we'll offer like a rush fee. But then it's like, a lot of times they're like, ah, man, not trying to drop an extra, $500, $1,000 to get that locked in, you know what I mean? But then it's like, okay, on the other side of the coin, man, you're running for, 5-10 bands, what's another $1,000 if that gets you in, get your tune, and you're gonna win. You know what I'm saying? So just always something I found kind of hilarious. Like I said, it's always going to be an entertaining conversation when you're dealing with the street racer guys. And I'm stuck behind a mail truck. That's always fun. I love that 5-cylinder. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is something I've found, a typical pattern with these guys is, they often work in teams. Like, I gotta respect, like, the collaborative efforts, right? Like, you might have one guy that actually owns the car, you might have another guy who's the dedicated driver for the car, then maybe the other guy is the one who, you know, transports the car, right? Like there's different roles kind of within these guys, like little partnerships, you know what I'm saying? So oftentimes you'll get situations where, so for example, you might have a guy who calls, hey man, yeah, I've got this car, it's going to get this installation, this upgrade, this tune, whatever, at this location, this date. And you're like, all right, cool, man. Well, you come in, you meet him, and then you might get a call like, you know, later the day or whatever the time frame is. It's like, hey, you know, I'm checking on this car. Like, okay, gotcha. Okay, 2015 BMW, what? Okay, wait a minute, that's the same. But then you're looking at like the name of their repair order. It's like, wait a minute, we got a different person calling about the same car. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of times these guys, man, like you'll see one name on the caller ID, one name on the repair order. The guy calls, my name's so-and-so. You're like trying to put all these pieces together. And you're like, okay, all right, I got this. You know, it's like this guy, you know, that's his partner. They got this whole thing scheduled for this weekend, whatever. And it's like, it's funny, man. It's almost like, you know, you see those like commercials for like some like, you know, blah, 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 partners and associates. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's the same thing with street racers. You know what I mean? Like they legit, they'll have this guy, his partner, his associates of such and such. And it's hilarious, man. It really is quite entertaining. So for me, obviously, you know, I'm just a general car enthusiast, right? Like I'm not that cool. I'm not running the streets by any stretch of the imagination. So kind of like when I was going through this, working in different shops, you know, just kind of dealing with like how sort of the dynamics are of, I guess, you know, the business of street racing. It's very interesting, man. It definitely kind of opened my eyes to a lot of different things. But all in good fun. Make sure to drive responsibly at all times. Always be sure to obey your local laws and comply with all regulations. Of course, definitely don't want to be doing anything to your car to, you know, remove emissions to increase performance. That definitely would not be recommended at any given time. You know, if you've got like one of those metal pipes that people use as like wall decorations, definitely don't install those on your car. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me on yet another episode. This was a little bit more of a lighthearted, casual discussion today rather than my past rants. So either way, thank you guys for joining me, and I'll be sure to see you in the next one.